You shouldn't hate the sinner, only the sin. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brickmaker channel, and today we have another character build. I've been absolutely blown away for the last video, the Judge Holden run for Falloutnewvegas, and I want to give a quick moment to thank all of you for the support on that. Today we're doing something somewhat similar, a kind of an evil character build, except this time we have someone who's a little bit more redeemable. Joshua Graham, for anyone who isn't aware, is a Falloutnewvegas character. Although he is mentioned throughout the game, we are first introduced to him during the Honest Hearts DLC. And when I was looking through the mod menu for Fallout 4, I came across Joshua Graham's outfit and a mod for the Colt M1911 that introduces his pistol. And while I was sitting there thinking of ideas to make for a video, I thought, well, why not? Why not ask the question about one of Fallout's most favourite characters? That question being, can you beat Fallout 4 as Joshua Graham? Now I'm not sure how Joshua's ended up in this bathroom, but we're gonna roll with the punches that we've been given. I tried to make him as burnt as possible, and for some reason I am not terrifying all the neighbours. During this run, one of the most important parts of the playthrough will be me getting all of the stats that Joshua Graham has in Falloutnewvegas. As you can see on screen here, he has pretty high stats, meaning that I'm going to have to use the multitude of my initial points to put them all into my special skills. And that, although I thought would be pretty simple, actually resulted in me not being able to pick apart till pretty late on in the game. I acquire my first weapon of the playthrough, a pistol which I can gun bash with. If you weren't aware, in Falloutnewvegas, Joshua's melee weapon of choice is Joshua's pistol whipping 45, which pretty much means he just chucks his gun, flips it around and just starts hitting him with the butt of his gun. After leaving the vault, I go immediately to where most people will try and design their own clothes, straight to the chemistry station. Instead of using any sort of material, this mod introduces just spending caps on buying all the stuff. Meaning the beginning of this video is me doing a little bit of trading with Trash Can Carla. I also decide to head over to the Drumlin Diner and do my first good deed. Now, despite me running around in pants with only my face that looks like it's been given any sort of burn damage, I'm able to take up Wolfgang and Simone with the butt of my gun. I now have enough caps to be able to buy Joshua Graham's outfit. I just need one cloth to get the Burn Man helmet, and there we go, the character is complete. At least for the aesthetics right now. The next thing we have to do is acquire a weapon I'm able to shoot. That means I'm off on a journey to try and find myself a 45 pistol. On the way there, I stop off to help off the Brotherhood. Now, the story of Joshua Graham is something I want to briefly touch on for now. A lot of people may think that this playthrough may be a somewhat evil character, but actually I want to take the Joshua Graham from after Honest Hearts. This is a Joshua Graham that isn't evil. This is one who is repenting, and someone who wants to defend the weak from those who would take what they have. However, this doesn't make him a pacifist. No, far from it. Anyone who is willing to mess, start, or try and bully anyone Joshua Graham sees as weak, or even himself, he will have no problem putting them into the ground. So this will be a somewhat righteous playthrough. Joshua Graham defending those who cannot defend themselves, but also taking out vengeful and angry revenge on those who have wronged him. And in terms of revenge, what we needed to do was to get a better look at the people who stole our son and killed our wife. So with that, we head over to Good Neighbor and right to the memory den so we can go through our memories one more time and get a better look at the people we want to cause harm to. Leave a comment down below if you knew you could even do this, because I didn't until I watched the video recently and I thought I would test it out for this challenge run. The next place we're heading over to is the railroad, because we need to complete their initial quest so we can upgrade our arsenal somewhat. Although this 45 pistol feels fine and we're used to cleaning and fixing them, it's not quite the perfect one. There's some other special weapon that we want to get our hands on. Something to bring the light back to the darkness. We make a somewhat good impression on the railroad and we get sent off for our first quest with Deacon. Unless you've got the courser chip, you cannot get into the railroad without completing this quest. And I would rather do this quest than go through most of the game without the weapon I want. We do the initial parts and head straight to the synth bunker. Now I unfortunately forgot to buy any sort of ammunition before I got in here, so a lot of this is going to be sneaking from the stealth and doing a lot of gun bashing. A lot of pistol whipping for the start of this playthrough. And to be honest, gun bashing is not as effective as I thought it would be. But we're able to push our way through with Deacon more or less doing the majority of the heavy lifting. And instead of fighting our way right back outside of the synth stronghold, we decide to head back the way we came. With that, we can head back to the railroad and get our hands on, whoa, and there it is, a light shining in darkness. Now for any New Vegas fans, you guys will be fully aware of this weapon and how good it is. One of my personal favourites from the game, and in this game, it has its own legendary effect. I mean, I think the design of it is pretty damn accurate. And in celebration of Joshua Graham, it also sets their targets on fire. Which I can't tell if it's a nice touch or just making fun of him. Speaking of that, I think now is a good time to talk a little bit more about Joshua Graham. Joshua Graham originally came from New Canaan, which again is another area in America which was home to a lot of kind of Mormon missionaries. A long story short, Joshua Graham meets up with a guy who inevitably becomes Caesar, the head of the Legion in Falloutnewvegas, and once he fails to take Hoover Dam, he is unfortunately covered in pitch and thrown into the Grand Canyon, which is why we see all the bandages on him today. After going back to New Canaan, he is able to reunite with his family and all of his sins are forgiven, but he cannot forgive himself. And Caesar does not forgive him for surviving the fall, causing a tribe called the Whitelegs to force their way into New Canaan and try and wipe them out. It's at this point where we first meet Joshua Graham in Falloutnewvegas. He is reflecting, he is repenting, but he is also fiercely loyal and trying to protect the tribes that Caesar hasn't got his hands on yet. And this is kind of the basis for the choice of faction in this playthrough, the Minutemen. Now the Minutemen in this game are a tribe, if you want to call them that, who have been attacked, driven out of their home by another gang. Anyone who's had extended conversations with Preston in the game will know about the Quincy massacre and how the Gunners more or less got someone to betray them and run them off. Joshua Graham can really relate to this kind of story and offers his hand. So going from the Malpace Legate all the way to a war chief in Zion to now the general of the Minutemen. And Joshua will support the Minutemen because he can see through Preston and all the people that they help that they really do want to make the Commonwealth a better place. And people like raiders and gunners who try to jump down them and attack them for no reason, well, they'll have to face God's judgment. Looking at my stats for level 10, and we're still nowhere even close to having Joshua Graham's full stats at the end of Honest Hearts. So we're going to have to just keep pushing through with the base damage of our pistol for now. I do however know there's a few bobbleheads that are around in somewhat easy areas that I can grab, so that should save me a few levels in the future. The first place we jump into is the Boston Public Library because you can grab the intelligence bobblehead pretty simply. All you gotta do is fight for a few super mutants and you have a lot of support from Protectrons. We're then able to head back and tell Preston the good news that we're starting to take the first steps and learn more about the Quincy massacre. With the Minutemen finally back on their feet and helping those in the Commonwealth, we head right over to talk to Nick Valentine because we still have a somewhat son that we need to try and help. For this story, I don't want it to be Joshua's son and Joshua's wife, but maybe just two tribespeople that he was trying to help when the bombs fell. And despite the horrors that we've faced so far, we still have a job to do and to help save that child. Let's just hope the sin of all the people around him hasn't affected him too much. As Joshua says, hate the sin, not the sinner. Clearing out this vault full of Skinny Malone's guys is a great source of ammunition for 45 weapons. And right now the 45 pistol at this level is doing fantastic work. This is one of the best mods that I have found on the mod menu, guys. The action is good, the sound's great, and the fact that they added in Joshua's shining light in the darkness is just that these modders need a lot of praise for the work that they do. Now, because of all the nonsense that's going on here, Joshua is going to encourage violence. He definitely gets not the intended result with Darla kind of coming on to him, but these are not good people. These are people that need to go. These are people that don't deserve mercy. Kidnapping, gang violence, hurting those who can't defend themselves. Joshua has no time for any of this. And similar to this, after speaking to Valentine, we head over to this amphitheater. Now this person, Brother Simon, preaches a somewhat similar thing to what Joshua would know through the Bible, and Joshua has no interest. Now despite saying this, Brother Simon asks us to follow, and Joshua Graham, he obliges. Unfortunately, Brother Simon hasn't heard the stories of Joshua Graham and tries to rob him anyway. This does not end well for all the missionaries. Now Joshua Graham was also a missionary at one point, but his job was to translate between the tribes. And despite the message getting lost along the way, and many regrettable things happening, he never tried to swindle and rob people. As I'm writing this, I'm starting to notice that Joshua Graham's high horse for those missionaries may not have been justified, and I somewhat regret that. Now if you guys have been watching the gameplay in the background, you would have noticed that we've just gotten to Kellogg's house. And I don't feel that Joshua Graham is quite ready to head over to Fort Hagen with these stats, so we're going to do a little bit more of a hunt and get some more bobbleheads. Now we pass through the Quincy ruins on our way to Poseidon Energy to pick up the Endurance bobblehead. We clear out all the raiders on the roof and make our way through the back pipe into the facility. It was at this point that I realised grabbing all the bobbleheads may not be as simple as I initially thought. The majority of the areas with bobbleheads are pretty heavily fortified. And as I was running through Poseidon Energy and reading through the other bobblehead locations, I had decided that maybe it was best just to grab this one and do the rest through level ups, because I don't think you guys want to watch me go on a huge bobblehead hunt. I don't know, maybe you do, but I didn't really want to do it myself, so we grabbed the Endurance bobblehead and decided just to help out the rest of the Minutemen quest to get some more levels. On our way to all these different locations, we go past Thicket Excavations and meet Sully Mathis. Now Sully's asking us to help him out and to get rid of all this water by regulating all the pumps. It's somewhat noble cause, maybe he just wants to get down there and, scavenge some supplies, and he seems like a pretty nice guy in the first place, so we help him out and flip the circuit breaker, giving him access to the quarry. We'll check back on him later to see how he's doing. The next thing we're up to is clearing out some feral ghouls for another Minutemen location, helping out more people within the Commonwealth. The better and stronger we are together is the less that Joshua Graham has to do for them. After saving a few more settlements, we are given a quest to go take out Dunwich boars, which funnily at this point is one of the bigger quests that I wanted to save for later. So if it's between Dunwich boars or taking out Kellogg, I believe that Kellogg is more fitting to be doing at this point in the video. In an effort to help another settler and to help a poor woman who's screaming for help, we are ambushed by a bunch of raiders, but Joshua again wasn't silly enough to walk in the front door. These godless heathens are trying to trick people into coming in here, so they are given some Joshua Graham justice. We walk the path through Vault 81 and finally arrive over at Fort Hagen. Now, we don't have any hatred really for the Simps, but we do have hatred for Kellogg. So we battle our way through the endless and waves of Simps, and finally arrive at Kellogg, which we are not even going to give him the chance to speak. I do think Joshua Graham would give him the chance to speak. Looking back at it now, he did allow Salt Upon Wounds to speak to the courier, so the fact that I went and just gone blazing was maybe a little bit too hasty. But the results are still the same. We do get a nice brief look at the Brotherhood of Steel, and probably will never interact with them again during this playthrough. and walk in and two people discussing all of our personal business. It's here where we're given the quest to head over to the memory den again and walk through all of Kellogg's memories, reliving the one that we did earlier. Once we've got to see the death of our wife for the third time, we are now able to head off to the glowing sea. However, that may be a little bit too much for us right now, so let's go get a few more levels battling through Dunwich boars. The reason I thought Dunwich boars was so important isn't just the obvious reason. There's a couple things down here that would, I believe, really piss off Joshua Graham. The first thing being all the raiders who are down here taking and killing and murdering with a big old safe location for themselves. The other is this central part here. They have been burning people, smoking people, cooking people alive. Not even for the things on them, not even for their caps or weapons. Just for fun. And there's one thing that hits close to home, is bad people using fire to torture. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to head straight into Dunwich boars and wipe out every single raider that's in here. And with it being so dark and my weapon setting every single person on fire with every shot, you get a nice little backdrop of fire as I'm attacking. With the name Raider down, we are also drawn deeper into the mine. Now I don't want to get into too much religious stuff, but Joshua Graham is a very devout follower of Jesus Christ. And whatever was going on down here stands against all of his teachings and the way of the Bible. So not only am I going to wipe out all the raiders and all the poor ghouls that have been left down here, we're going to put an end to whatever horrible heathenistic sacrifices were happening in the back of this tomb. The first action being putting down all the named ghouls who were either committing these atrocities or were victims to them. Either way, they deserve rest for the torment they went through. We then swim down and find Krem's tooth. Now for a lot of people, this is a fantastic weapon. But for Joshua, this is a heathenistic symbol. This is evidence of humanity falling too far, and he throws it back into the pool, hopefully to never be found again. We report all of our success back to the Minutemen, and we are also given the task of retrieving back their homestead. If there's one thing that people need, it's a home, and to be driven out of their home and unable to return is something that Joshua Graham just can't stand by, as he knows how it feels. So we head to the castle to clear out of all the Mirelurks. Now Mirelurks are obviously not raiders or legionaries, but they're still just as evil, as they take away from innocent people who are just trying to help. After we take out the Mirelurk Queen and finish off the last of our hatchlings, we're able to go back and speak to Preston, and we have completed taking independence, getting the Minutemen back to a pretty strong footing. A few more locations cleared out and saved, with the occasional raider stronghold taken out with it. We are truly building the Minutemen strength from the north to the west to the east to the south of this map. We also get a lot of good practice taking out pretty strong enemies, giving Joshua the feeling that he's probably a little bit more ready to take on the glowing sea. We have also reached a point where we have all of our stats matching Joshua Graham's, meaning we can finally buy ourselves some perks. To make sure we can get our first perk before we hit the glowing sea, let's pop over to Thicket Excavations and see what's... Oh no. An unfortunate thing has happened. Poor Sully Matthews, the man that we helped clear out this quarry, has probably been attacked, probably been kidnapped, or even worse, killed. And a group of raiders has settled in. However, we will not allow this to happen lying down. We're going to come in here and clear it out and see if we're able to save Sully, with the majority of the raiders taken... What? Oh no. Oh no. Now being a new Canaanite, it doesn't mean that every day you are perfect. In fact, every day Joshua falls and falters. And although we're only supposed to hate the sin, not the sinners, we cannot forgive what he has done. We clear out another named raider called Boomer, who actually had a fat man that took me out once before. And once he falls down, we're finally able to get another quest for the Minutemen called Old Guns. This leads us over to meet with Ronnie Shaw. This is now getting the Minutemen not just having a stronghold or having the numbers, but also getting the supplies. We are met with Sarge down in the bottom, who put up a much bigger fight than I'm used to for Sarge. I mean, this weapon is starting to feel a little bit underpowered with the lack of perks getting put into it. However, we're still able to get the castle up into good working order. With the castle finally fully operational for the Minutemen, we finally level up and we're able to get our first perk of the playthrough, at level 20 no less. And with our level 1 in Gunslinger, we take that and go out and help Abernathy farm, as these named raiders have no chance against the might of Joshua Graham. They have no chance, and at this point these are all level 1 raiders, so we really are having a simple time. So let's finally put ourselves into a challenge and run through the glowing sea. Even at this point, even when it seems that Joshua Graham has got luck not on his side, it almost feels like a little bit of a divine intervention. Because despite being attacked and almost taken out by this Deathclaw, we're able to duck and dive our way all the way around until some blood bugs get involved. It is here where we're able to stand back and finally take a moment to enjoy the violence and watch this Deathclaw try and take out 2 blood bugs. Now, surprisingly, the Deathclaw does not win this battle, and in fact the blood bug is able to win, but it cannot survive our one shot. We approach the Children of Atom, and despite them, well, supporting and following a heathenistic god, we are not going to be attacking them at this moment, as they are not hostile to us or cause us any harm. Live and let live. They even point us into the correct direction of where Virgil is. Through some, well, let's say negotiations, we're able to get the location of where our courser might be, as we need its chip to enter the Instiute. Now, we have absolutely no love for the Gunners, as we know that they are the reason and the cause of the Minutemen's destruction at Quincy, so battling our way through them is not a problem, despite them trying to blow my legs off. We eventually reach the courser, and we do somewhat try and negotiate with him, as he wasn't hostile to us immediately, but the end result is always the same. We need the chip, and he's not willing to hand it over freely, so we're going to have to pry it right out of his head. The good thing about having the incendiary effect on your weapon is anyone who's using Stealth Boys can't really hide, because I just have to shoot at the walking fireball. And these gunners, despite it maybe being a war crime, they are getting no chance to walk free from here, as they have valuable ammunition, valuable weapons on them, and, well, to be honest, they're just not very good people, are they? We make sure to free the simp that's been trapped, and start eavesdropping on it seems like an important railroad meeting. They're just going to let me stand in the back. And when they realise that I have the most important thing to speak about, they decode my courser chip, and I head right back to Virgil and let him know that I've already completed all his tasks. There's only one faction that I'm going to let build this teleporter, and that's the Minutemen. Luckily, I've got more or less all the resources I need at Sanctuary, so I didn't have to do too much time, just had to build the teleporter. We head straight in, and we finally arrive at the Instiute. Now, it's a somewhat strange introduction to the Instiute. It turns out that the child that we've been trying to save has become the leader of this new tribe. Now, this new tribe has got a lot of interesting things about them. But the most important thing is that they've been kidnapping people, terrorizing people, and trying to wipe them out for their own gain. So, Joshua Graham, because they weren't hostile to me, decides to leave. And that's kind of it, to be honest. That's kind of where Joshua Graham's story ends in this Fallout 4 world. He continues to go around, he continues to help out settlers and the Minutemen to grow, to try and build a new community of people, and fight raiders along the way who, for some reason, 3 of them have missile launchers. This was a weird random encounter that I've never seen before. Leave a comment down below if you've ever encountered these missile launching raiders. And while you're there, remember to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. There's always going to be more videos and more challenges coming out. Now if you're watching in the background, this is more or less what the rest of the playthrough is. It's just me. Wait, what? What do you mean there's... Who's been... defend the castle? What do you mean there's been people... What the hell? We never threatened the Instiute. We never were aggressive towards them. We were going to allow it. Live and let live. We were going to just protect our people. But the Instiute has... I can't even explain what they've done. They've decided to attack us for no reason. And you know, that's brought a lot of memories back for Joshua. It wasn't just going to be the end of this game. No end to this playthrough here. No, I think there's a few things that Joshua needs to go out and handle before we can finish this video. The first location being Quincy. Now these people, these are the people who put the Minutemen on the back foot and attacked them, wiped them out for no reason. And we can see why. They're pretty damn strong. They've got a lot of firepower behind them. But the fire that burns around Joshua is not as strong as the fire that burns within him. And with a bit of random support from the Brotherhood, because they turned up for some reason, we decide to rename the Quincy Massacre to the Quincy Massacre. But instead of it being the Minutemen, it's the Gunners. All ending with Clint, the Minuteman who decided to betray them all and ended them getting massacred. I thought it was a very fitting way to watch Clint end while being engulfed in flames. And despite his power armor protecting him for quite a while, it's not enough to protect him from Joshua altogether. I remove his Minutemen outfit because he doesn't deserve to wear it. And when stopping off in Diamond City, I'm also faced by another problem. It turns out the mayor this entire time has been a synth. And we're not very friendly with synths right now. And this synth has decided to start attacking and taking innocent people hostage. Now Joshua doesn't want any more innocent lives to go. So after saving Geneva, I tell him that he will stand trial. But not with people, he will stand trial with God. After I send him there. Because although your soul belongs to him above, your ass belongs to Joshua Graham. And he came to collect. Now during our time in Quincy, we heard the Gunners talking about Nuka-World and something that was going on up here. And when we arrive, there's a small group of Gunners waiting for us. After taking up Commander Kaler, which wasn't too much of a difficult challenge, we head down into Nuka-World and we meet Harvey. Now, Joshua Graham is currently not in the mood for too much nonsense. And after trying to save Harvey the same way that we tried to save Officer Daniel back in Diamond City, we are now letting privy to his gig. And unfortunately at this current moment, this sin cannot go unpunished. And Joshua Graham will not allow any more innocent people to be tricked into Nuka-World. So Harvey meets his fate and goes to meet his maker. We get onto the Nuka-World train and we get the whole spiel from Gage. We are put through the gauntlet, which is just another trial and tribulation that Joshua has to overcome. He takes a moment to rethink his life, to admire the flames, and remember how hot the flame inside burns, and that not a single raider will walk out of this place. Not a single person who looks to harm the innocent will be able to leave Nuka-World once Joshua Graham has ended it. They try everything. They try to set him on fire, attack him with gas, but eventually we reach Overboss Coulter. Now although we have to use our little Nuka water pistol to get past the initial part, it doesn't actually do any damage, so I don't believe this breaks any sort of rule within the playthrough. We're able to finish off Overboss Coulter, and to be honest, Joshua Graham can hardly contain himself. He just wants to get in amongst all the raiders. And the second Portuguese decides to try and take us off, to convince us to take over this gang, he's already fell to his knees. There is no negotiation, there is no talks, there is no discussion. There is only extermination. An entire theme park filled with innocent people, traders, a market, all these people who were just trying to live their lives, taken over by operators, pack animals, and disciples. But the only real disciples are those who follow in the new Canaanites' methods. And if you choose to turn your back on a divine path, then you'll end up just like Mason, just like Shank, just like Gage, like every other raider that's in this park. And you will end it with your skin on fire, just the same way that Joshua Graham's journey started with his body in flames. Taking a moment to get away from all the biblical stuff, sorry guys, that got a little bit deep there. Taking out all the raider leaders at Nuka-World is actually pretty difficult. They have huge health pools, especially Williams and Mags Black. They're actually probably the two most difficult people to fight. I'd say the pack's pretty difficult because the area's a little bit smaller, but Mason, there's only one of them. And when it comes to the disciples, honestly, I found this a lot simpler than I thought it would be. I always like to leave the disciples to the end, because they usually are the more difficult ones. But for some reason, they decided not to use their weapons too much. They really just tried to focus on melee. And luckily for me, walking backwards and firing in VATS was enough to be able to take out Nisha, Savoy. And we did take a little bit of extra time to wipe out Dixie, because if there was one truly evil character in this DLC, it would be her. With that, we can head right over to Mackenzie and let her know that all of her people are free. They are allowed to do whatever they like, they can stay, they can go, but this is their place. And there's one place left for us to finally do our pilgrimage. And that is to the Instiute. To not wipe them out. My goal is never to wipe out the white coats as they were. Similar to the white legs, these are the white coats. We had no issue with them. We weren't going to do anything. But they attacked us first. And we're not going to allow what happened at New Canaan from the white legs to happen to the Minutemen again. It happened once with the gunners at Quincy. We're not going to allow it to happen with the white coats, with the Instiute in the castle. So we're going to take the fight to them. We know this isn't what Daniel would have wanted, but it's what... Well, Daniel in here! It's only Joshua. And despite that young tribe's boy who we came to save, he would happily not even help us in an effort to save everyone else. So, we put an end to Father and issue the evacuation order. Because anyone who is not here to fight, we do not want to leave down here. We want them to get out. Only the people that stand in our way are the people who will meet their end. So after putting the fusion pulse charge on the reactor, we're able to get ourselves teleported out. We do take a moment to save our son because, well, we're not going to leave an innocent boy down here. Get a pretty cool fiery background behind us. And teleport ourselves all the way to the mass fusion building. Ending the game, answering the question that yes, you can indeed beat Fallout 4 as Joshua Graham, the burned man, the Malpace Legate, the war chief, the general. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you've gotten this far, remember to leave a like, leave a comment down below of any challenges you'd like to give me so I can try in the future, and remember to subscribe to the channel. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing a bit of research into Joshua Graham recently, learning as much as I can about him just for this video. And it was a nice, simple, kind of felt more like a weapon restriction run, but with a little bit more bells and whistles, a little bit more added in. Something I never discussed throughout the video was kind of how difficult it was at the start, because we more or less didn't have any armor. Like, the Joshua Graham outfit doesn't have much DT at all. And having no perks, the medic perk, the gunslinger perk, like, it just didn't by the end, it just didn't feel worth having all of the stats the same as Joshua, but in the theme of the video, it's what we had to do, and probably was the most challenging part, was not ending the video before I got all those levels. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you guys for the next one, and see you next time. Bye bye.